Hello, private group, and welcome. Today, I'm going to show you a design that I've never done before. And I know, well, I checked Etsy, checked a few of the sites, not seeing it for sale. So, odds are that most people have not seen it, but I do want to give credit to where the original tutorial stemmed from. So many people have been asking, like, what else can we do with the football wreath? You know, people are like, oh, it looks like a lemon slice. It looks like an eyeball. I'm trying to think of what other things I've seen. So I was looking for other ideas of what else can we use, like a seemingly simple shape, to create something unique. So I came across this tutorial because I've been doing some research over the weekend and I wanted to show you what I created today. And it took me a while, but look, this is what we're going to be making today. We are making an acorn wreath using the Dollar Tree football form. So I'm going to walk you through, regardless of how long it takes, to get this design done. The longest part of it is trying to get the fabric perfect, because I'm always that much of a perfectionist. Like, I don't want any quality less than like what I would like to show up with my name on it to be branded by my shop. So taking some of the information from her website and then just kind of, or her tutorial, and kind of figuring that out for myself, I came out with one that I like a little bit better. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. So this will be, hopefully, what our finished product will look like. The final design measures 14 inches at the tallest. It is 7.5 inches at its widest and about 4.5 inches tall. So depending upon storm doors, it may or may not fit. So